Right. So I have deleted the whole VPC that we have created, but let's recreate. Okay, let's recreate that VPC. So I'm directly going to the VPC. If you have any questions, you can stop me in the middle and you can ask me. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start like from creating VPC. I'm just going to the VPC dashboard. I don't have any VPCs. I don't have any VPCs here except the default VPC. I'm just going to create a VPC. I'm providing the name of the VPC as my VPC, and I'm going for providing the CIDR range. I'll be providing the CIDR range like this 10.0.0 something, 10.0.0/24. This time I'm just taking 24. Can you, if you assume like if it is 24, how many IP addresses I will get? So if I'm giving the range of 24, you can calculate 32 minus 24. 32 minus 24 is 8. 2 to the power of 8.
256.
256 IP addresses I will be getting. I am going to create this VPC. Okay. And I'm going to create subnets. Okay. I'm going to create a subnet inside the VPC. You know, it is very simple. Okay. Creating VPC is very simple. We have provided the IP address range as well as the name of the VPC so that the VPC is created. I'm going to the subnet. I'm going ahead and creating a subnet, and I will be selecting my VPC. In which VPC I would like to create subnets in my VPC. And I am going to provide the name of the subnet. Okay. So for now, I will be providing the name of the subnet as usually we can provide the names like public subnet or private subnet. It's up to you. But usually in live actually, okay, in live, we usually don't provide the names like public and private subnet. We create the subnets and we will make the subnet as public. By default, the nature of the subnet is private. If we want, we can make the subnet as public.
Public.
Okay. So by default, the nature of the subnet is private. If we want, we can make it as public. So that's the reason why I'm not creating the subnet name as public or private. Why? Because that is not the recommended practice. Like usually we create the subnets. If we want the subnet to be public, we can make it as public. I'm giving the name of the subnet as web subnet. And I'm going to take I'm going to select the availability zone as AP South 1A. It is asking like to provide the range of the subnet. This is the range of the VPC /24 is the range of the VPC. So for this subnet, usually I have 256 IP addresses. I can provide, I can
128, 25.
provide some range like 25.
25.
Okay, 25 means 120.
120.
So it is not mandatory that we are going to create. You see, it's not like we will be creating only two subnets. Okay, we can create any number of subnets, Chandrakant. So it's not like since we have 256 IP addresses, we will be going ahead and creating only two subnets. Not like that. Okay, we can make some partitions. Suppose if I want three subnets. Okay, let's assume that I'm going to create three subnets. So what I will do is like I'll be going for reducing the size. I'll be giving some 27. If I'm giving 27, how many IP addresses I will get for this subnet?
32.
Only 32. I'm giving 28, only 16 IPs. If I'm
Yes.
giving 26, 64 IPs.
Yeah,
We can
okay.
calculate like this. Okay. So it is not mandatory that we will be doing only two partitions inside the VPC. We can make any number of partitions based on our availability range. So if I have the range, if I have the CIDR range, based on the CIDR range, I can make any number of partitions. So for now, what I'm doing is I'm just giving the number as 25. I would like to make only two partitions, nothing but two subnets. I would like to
Yeah.
create only two subnets. That's why I'm giving only 25. I'm going ahead and creating the subnet. I'm going to create one more subnet. Okay, I'll be creating one more subnet. So these are the default subnet. The name I provided, right? This is the one we created now. The rest of the rest others, okay, rest others we can see here. Those are
Default.
default ones. Okay, no need to worry about them. I'm going to create one more subnet. I'm selecting my VPC again, and I'm going for providing the name of the subnet as
DB server.
DB subnet or something like that. Okay, you can provide any name you can provide, but for meaningful sake, I'm just providing this name, DB subnet. Availability zone, I'm selecting the same, and IPv4. This is the VPC range, and I will be providing the same range as 10.0.0 slash. Okay, now you tell me here. 128 IP addresses, the first 128 IP address. Suppose for this range, for this 24 range, if I am getting 256 IP addresses, I would like to make two partitions here, one for 128, the other subnet for 128 IP addresses. The
25.
first 128 IP addresses are already reserved for web subnet. Now I need to start here from 0 to 127. Okay, first 128 means we are starting from 0. We have given from 0, right, for the first subnet. So here we need to start from 128
28 to
plus
255.
26.
Yes, yes.
Okay, if I, sorry, not 26, 25. If I give 25, we will be getting 128. So the starting IP address of this subnet will be 128, and the last IP address will be 10.0.0.255. 255 will be the last IP address. I'm going ahead and creating a subnet. Yes, I'm done with creating VPCs and subnets. And yesterday also we discussed about we discussed about one particular thing very clearly. So this is the main thing that we need to understand. What I'm doing is like I'm going ahead and creating a VPC, and inside the VPC, I'm creating subnets. By default, the nature of the subnet is private. We can make it as public. And if I want to provide internet connection to the subnet, okay, if I want to provide internet connection to the public subnet, usually I'm talking about public subnet, okay. So consider if this is the web subnet, consider this is the web subnet, and I want to make this subnet as public. I don't want this DB subnet to be made as public. I want this subnet to be as
Private.
private. But I'm not talking about, I have a web subnet. I want to make this subnet as public so that the others, so that everyone in the world can able to access the servers which are present in. If I create some servers,
Private.
if I create some servers in the web subnet, if I make this subnet as private, what happens?
No one will have
No one will access. Okay, no one from the outside world can access these servers. So that's the reason why what I'm doing, I'm making this subnet as public. So making the subnet as public involves two steps. We have two steps, okay? So what we did, suppose if I want to make the subnet as public, I'm going to the subnets.
auto assign public IP as enable.
Yes, we need to
First,
select the web subnet. Go to the web subnet, and we will edit the subnet settings. We will, by default, this auto assign public IP will be disabled. We will enable it and we will save it. So what is this auto assign public IP? See,
it will
suppose,
assign the public IP to
yes. You see here, if I
subnet.
disable this one, okay, if we are not enable this one, if I go ahead and create any server in the web subnet, what happens? Public IPs will not be assigned. Public IP will not be assigned for any of the server. Okay, we are disabling the public IP. So if I enable this, and if I go ahead and create any server in the web subnet, usually what happens? Public IPs will be assigned. So this is one step. Assigning public IP is one step. What is another step? If I want to make any subnet as public, what is the next step? Anyone?
Gateway routing we need to assign. Attach gateway
Yes, we need to
internet
provide
gateway.
the internet connectivity. Why? Because without internet connectivity, even though if you enable the public IP, without internet connectivity, how can the others can connect to our machines? They cannot connect, right? So it's mandatory to provide the internet connectivity to that particular subnet. Okay, it's mandatory to provide the internet connectivity to the particular subnet so that the others can able to connect to those servers. That's the main agenda. Okay. So now what I'm doing is we need to provide internet connection to this subnet. Suppose how can we provide, we can see here, how can we provide internet connectivity to this particular subnet? The main important component involves in providing internet connectivity. So we need to go for selecting a component called, we need to create a component called what? Internet gateway. We need to create a component called internet gateway. Okay. I'm just writing the name as IG. Okay. No confusions. IG stands for what?
Internet gateway.
Yes. I'm just naming this as IG. IG stands for internet gateway. Okay. So internet gateway, I'm attaching this internet gateway to which component? I'm attaching this internet gateway to the VPC.
VPC.
So, okay, first we need to do that. Okay, I'm going to create an internet gateway. So someone asks you, what is internet gateway? The main purpose of internet gateway is to provide internet connection. Okay, the main purpose, I'm already having internet gateway. I'm deleting this one. Deleting this one. Let me delete. Actually, I've deleted all the components, but not sure. I had some existing gateway maybe yesterday that we created. Okay, fine. I've deleted that. I'm going to create an internet gateway. Creating internet gateway is also a very simple one. I'm just giving the name of the internet gateway as my internet gateway. Name can be anything we can provide based on our project or something else. Okay, I'm giving the name of the internet gateway as my internet gateway. I'm going to create internet gateway. That's it. It is done. Create internet gateway is created. Very simple. You just need to provide the name of the internet gateway. And what I want to do is now I'm just selecting this particular gateway, and I would like to attach. In the diagram, we are just following in the diagram. Like what I am doing, I am just connecting this internet gateway. I'm attaching this internet gateway to which component?
VPC.
VPC. First, we need to attach this internet gateway to the VPC. Select the internet gateway, and you can see immediately after creating the internet gateway, the status of the internet gateway is what?
Detached.
Attached. Okay, select the internet gateway, go to the actions and attach to the
My
VPC.
VPC.
Select the VPC name, my VPC attached. That's it. This is how we will attach the internet gateway. One step is done. So now we have attached an internet gateway to the VPC, but we need to attach this internet gateway also to the subnet. We also need to attach this internet gateway to the subnet, but we cannot directly do that. Okay, we cannot directly do it. We need another component. We are taking help of
Route,
another component. We are creating
route,
one more component called
route tables.
route table. And what I'm doing is one end of the route table I'm connecting to, try to understand, one end of the route table I'm connecting to the internet gateway. The another end of the route table I'm connecting it to
Subnet.
subnet. This is what I'm doing. I'm going ahead. I'm done with internet gateway. And I connected this internet gateway to the VPC. And now you can see the status here. This is attached to the VPC. I'm going for route table. I'm just going for the route table. I'm going to create a route table. I'm providing the name of the route table as my route table. I'm just providing the name of the route table as my route table. I'm selecting the VPC, my VPC. I'm going ahead and creating the route table also. I'm done with creating a route table. So now what happens? I'm going to the route table. I'm just clicking on the route tables. I'm going to the route tables. We'll select the route table. Go to the actions. Okay, you might understand from the diagram. You might understand from this diagram. One end of the route table is connecting to the subnet. Another end of the route table is connecting to
Internet gateway.
internet gateway. So that's the reason why I'm going to the route table. I'm selecting the route table. Go to the actions. Edit subnet associations. Associate. Okay, select the web subnet you want to attach. Okay, I'm attaching the route table. One end of the route table is attaching to the web subnet. Select the web subnet and I'm going to save the associations. And another end. Again, I'm selecting the route table. Go to actions. You will find one more thing called edit routes. Okay, go to edit routes. Here, what I'm doing is I'm going to add the route. Select the target here. What is the target? To which component you would like to attach this route table? I would like to attach this component to the internet gateway, and you select the internet gateway. This is the internet gateway I created. Suppose if you select the target name and if you won't select the internet gateway, it doesn't mean that we are not connecting it to internet gateway. Okay, select the internet gateway also. Destination we always keep 000 because the meaning of this all zeros is anyone in the world can able to access it.
Access.
Okay? So we are giving access to the public, all public, anyone from the world, okay, anyone from the outside having any IP address can able to access this. Okay, I'm saving these changes. This is how actually so far we discussed about. Okay, this is how actually we discussed it so far. Okay, you understood the concept. Now what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do is I am going to create one server. Okay, I am going to create one server inside web subnet. I'll be creating one server inside the web subnet. And what is the purpose? Like why I'm going to create one server? I will be creating one server inside this one, and I'll make it as web server. And we also seen like how actually the internet connectivity can be lost. If I'm providing the route table connectivity, the internet will be accessible. If I'm disconnecting this one anywhere, okay, either from the internet gateway or the route table, if I'm disconnecting any of the connections, usually internet will be lost and we cannot able to access the server. That is one thing we are going to do. And one more thing is like, we are also going to create one more server in the private subnet, which is called as DB subnet. Okay, we are also going to create one more server inside DB subnet. Now assume the scenario where, suppose in the private subnet, okay, this is the DB subnet. And for the DB subnet, inside the DB subnet, if I create any server, inside the DB subnet, if I create any server, usually what happens? Public IP will not be enabled. Public IP will not be enabled for those servers. Okay, if public IP is not enabled, usually, and if there is no internet connectivity, okay, if there is no internet connectivity and if the public IP is not enabled, how can the users can connect to this one? How can the user, suppose if the database team wants to connect to this particular server,
We
and if
can
they
make
want to make some, if they want to make some updates, if they want to go for some patchwork, how they are going to connect to this particular server?
another route table and we can give the IPs there so that they can access this private subnet.
Yeah, that's fine, but there is no public IP, right? We are not enabling public IP. Is it possible without
No,
public IP?
no, not possible.
Yeah. So if we are not enabling public IP, usually we cannot access this particular server. So
Okay.
for that, what I'm giving, right? We need to provide a solution. Okay, we need to provide a solution for the database administrators or who will be accessing this particular server. So what I'm doing is, I'm going to create one more server. I'm going to create one more server inside. I'm going to create one more server inside the public subnet, and I'm going to name that server as jump host. You know, Bastion host or jump host. Have you heard about the jump host or Bastion host? Bastion server or jump server. We'll call it as jump host or Bastion host. What is the purpose of jump host? Usually in our environments, like if we are working on real time in the AWS cloud or Azure or this one Google Cloud, any of the cloud platform, usually for the servers they will be creating inside our environments. Okay, they won't enable the public IP for those servers. They won't enable the public IP for those servers. And we cannot directly connect to those servers. We will not be having access to connect to those servers directly. Try to understand what I'm trying to say is, whatever the servers that are being created inside the private subnets, for those servers, we cannot directly connect. Okay, we cannot directly connect to those servers. So what is the solution? They will create one server called, they will create one server called jump host, and where they are creating that server, in which
Public,
subnet they are creating that particular jump host
public,
server?
public subnet.
Public subnet. You know the meaning of public subnet. Public, the name itself indicates public. So public can able to
Access it.
access it. So first we will connect to the jump host. Okay, from the jump host, through the jump host, we can able to connect to these servers. So we will connect to the jump host. Okay, we are going to create a jump host server inside the web subnet. And from the jump host, we will be connecting to the DB subnet. Okay. So in the same way, okay, this is one concept. Okay, this is one concept we will be understanding. Okay. So anyone have any idea about the NAT gateway? NAT gateway. We have a gateway called NAT gateway. So let me show you here on the left side, left navigation. You can see here we have an internet gateway option. We know about the internet gateway. Internet gateways are mainly for what? Providing internet connections to the public subnet. Okay. So we'll be creating this internet gateway, attaching internet gateway to the VPC, and we'll also attach this same internet gateway to the subnet, public subnet, by using a route table. Okay, by using route table. And we have also a concept called NAT gateway. NAT stands for network address translation. Suppose if I want to provide internet connectivity to the private subnet, we can also provide internet connectivity to the private subnet. How can we provide internet connectivity to the private subnet? By using NAT gateway. NAT stands for what? Network address translation. NAT stands for network address translation. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me create servers. I'm just saying you like NAT gateways are mainly for providing internet connectivity to the private subnets. to use NAT gateway. So if someone asks you what is the difference between internet gateway and NAT gateway, and if you attend the interviews, people most of the time they ask you what is NAT gateway? Any idea about the NAT gateway? NAT stands for network address
Translation.
translation. Internet gateways are mainly for providing internet connections to the public subnet. And if I want to provide internet connection to the private subnet, what is the component we use?
NAT.
NAT gateway. Okay. So we'll see everything in the practicals. Let me go ahead and see. I have VPC subnets, all these things. I would like to create some servers. I'm going to open the service called EC2. I'm going to create a service. I'm going to open a service called EC2. I'm going for EC2 dashboard. Why? Because I want to create some servers, two servers. One is DB server as well as web server. So instances, I'm going to the instances, and I'm going to launch one instance first. First, I will be launching one instance, and I'm naming the server as web server. I'm selecting Amazon Linux. Going for instance type, I'll be selecting some T2.medium. Okay. You can try with T2.micro. Okay, that's not a problem. Okay, I need some capacity. That's it. Okay, if you want to practice, you can practice with T2.micro. I'm just taking T2.medium. Key pair, I'm selecting the existing key pair only. Network settings, you know, right? How to choose the network settings now? Earlier, when we used to create some servers and all, we don't know about this network settings, how to choose the network settings and all. You got some idea now how to
Yes.
choose the network settings while creating the server or while launching the server. You need
Yes.
to edit the network settings. By default, it will show the default VPC. You need to select what?
My
Even
VPC.
VPC. If you want to create your server in the VPC, what is this VPC? In a single sentence, okay, what do you say about the VPC? VPC stands for it is a private cloud. It is your private cloud. Amazon is a cloud. Amazon is the cloud platform. But again, inside the Amazon, you are going to have
Private.
your own private cloud where your all resources will be, where your all servers will be at one place. All your servers will be at one place with some series of IP addresses 10.0.0, 0.1, 0.2. And I told you, I forgot to remember you one point. After creating a subnet, consider you created a subnet with 128 IP addresses. You created a subnet with 128 IP addresses.
Hmm.
How many servers we can able to create in a
Four.
subnet which
Four
is
will be
connected with
reserved.
128?
Four will be reserved. First
Five.
three and
Totally
last
five
one.
will be reserved. Okay.
Oh, yes, 5.
Not four. Totally five will be reserved. The first four and the last IP.
Yes, yes.
The first four IP addresses and the last IP will be reserved. They are for the internal maintenance of the AWS cloud. Okay, we cannot use those IP addresses. So make
Yes.
sure that if you are suggesting to the team that they need some 128 servers, and if they are going exactly for 128 partition, okay, tell them that it won't work out. You need to take some additional IPs. Okay, so they need to calculate 5 will be reserved, and exactly they cannot reserve. So suppose if they want 128. Okay, they cannot go for 128 IP addresses subnet. They need some additional IPs. And the next range is what? If they want to create 128 128 servers in one subnet, what is the next availability range? Can we able to create a subnet with exact 150 servers or 160 servers? That is not at all possible.
Yes.
But, okay, if see next to the 128, the next availability range is what? 256 only. Okay, you try to understand the series here. Suppose, usually what I'm doing is we can create one IP, we can create two IPs, we can create four IPs, we can create four square. So, sorry, 2 to the power of 3. We can take like 2 to the
8.
power of 1 is 1, 2 square is 4.
8 IPs and
Yeah,
16.
we can create one IP, two IPs, four IPs, 8 IPs.
16.
Then we can create 16 IPs. Then we can
32.
create 32 IPs.
64.
We can create
128.
64 IPs.
128 to
128
56.
to 56,
512.
512,
1028.
1024,
Ah, yes.
like this. Okay, 20. and so on. Okay, we can go like this. But one thing you remember, if they ask you like I need exactly 128, we cannot suggest 128. We will suggest to go with
256.
256. Of course, they might be creating 250 servers or not. Okay, they should not think like all IP addresses will be the reserving IP addresses will get wasted. No, they have to choose the next range only. They have to choose the 256 range only. You got it? How actually we need to suggest them while choosing the IP address ranges.
Yes.
Okay, so now that is one important point that you need to understand while creating the subnets. Okay, I'm just going ahead and creating. So I'm selecting the network settings. Okay, I'm choosing the network settings. VPC selected, subnet is selected. I'm going to create my server in web subnet. When I'm selecting the web subnet, you see what it is showing. Auto assign public IP is
Enable.
enabled. See, when I'm choosing DB, when I'm choosing DB subnet, when I'm choosing DB subnet, what is saying? Auto assign public IP is
Disable.
disabled. That is the difference. Okay, we have already see for one subnet, for the web subnet, we have enabled auto assign public IP, right? This is
Yes.
the case. So when I'm choosing, we don't need to select for every server. When I'm choosing for the whole subnet, we automatically made the IP address will be enabled. Auto assign public IP is enabled. I'm going ahead and I'm going to create a new security group here. Okay, understand. I'm naming the security group as my security group. Okay, my security group one. I'm just naming the security group as my security group one. I'm having SSH port is enabled here. I'm also going to add HTTP, or otherwise I'm going to add for now. I'm adding all traffic anywhere IPv4, and I'm going down. You see here, I'm not selecting anything advanced details. I'm going for the advanced details. Inside the advanced details, you can provide something, some script. Okay, I'm just providing some script to make it as a web server. I want to make this as a web server. That's the reason why I'm selecting some script. Okay, and I will be providing the. Okay, this is the bootstrap script. Earlier we used to print Google one, Google two like that, but this is the one host name. I would like to print the host name. Dollar host name means dollar is used to what? Dollar is used for printing the host name. I'm just copying the script. Anyhow, if you're not aware of shell scripting, all these things we will be discussing when we start with the DevOps course. Okay, I'm just saving this. I'm going ahead and launching the instance. Okay, make sure that you have provided the correct script. Yes, I've provided the script and I'm going for launching the instance. So we created a public server. We created a server. Okay, we created the server in the public subnet. Now you understood how to create a server in the public subnet. And once the server is created, okay, once the server is created, you can observe. You can go back to the server. This is the server I have created, which is up and running. Go to the server and you can see here the VPC details, all these things. You can find all the VPC details, all these things. If we go to the network part, then you go to the networking. Please go to the networking section, okay? Inside the details, please go to the networking section. You can able to see the public IP is assigned. Okay, this public IP is assigned and the private IP is also assigned. And you see here, what is the IP address that is assigned for this one? What is the IP address that is assigned for this one? 10.0.0.95. And if you remember, what is the range for our web subnet? What is the range I have provided for web subnet? If you remember, for web subnet, I have provided the range as what? 0 to
0 to 127.
0 to 127. And in this 127, if you remember 0, 1, 2, 3, and 127 IP addresses are already reserved. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 127. These IP addresses, I mean 0, 1, 2, 3 means how it starts actually 10.0.0.0.
1.
This is
0.
okay.
1.
10.0.0.1, 2, 3, and 127. Okay. All the 4 IP addresses are reserved. We cannot use these 4 IP addresses. We cannot use 5 IP addresses. Understand? So why I am explaining all these things is because whenever a server is created, you cannot see the server with any of this IP address. We cannot see the server with any of the IP address. These 5 are reserved. And you see what is the IP address that we can able to see here? 10.0.0.95. Okay. So done. And let me try to access this server. I'm going to the dashboard. I'm going to access this server. How to access this server usually, you know, right? With the help of public
Public.
IP. If I'm
Yeah.
having the public IP, I can share the public IP. Usually, we won't access the applications using public IP. Usually, we access the applications by using what? If you remember, we won't access applications by using public IPs. I cannot share my public IP to the public.
DNS domains or
I'll go
something.
for domain name. Okay, I'll go for domain name. I'll purchase some domain name. I will attach the domain name to this IP address. We'll be integrating the domain name to this IP address so that I will be sharing my domain name. If I'm going to make some website like www.twitter.com, I'll be sharing that website to you people. I'll be sharing that domain to you people, not the IP address. But try to understand if I'm using any kind of
Google, it's the
site
best
like
example.
google.com or something, if I'm going for any kind of website like google.com, usually it is going to a server like this. If I'm giving google.com, it is going to the IP address only. It is going to one kind of
IP address.
IP address. So the DNS resolution will takes place and the request will hits the public IP only. Based on the public IP only, we will be accessing our application. But we won't share this public IP to the public. Usually, we will be integrating our domain name to this IP address. This is public IP, okay? Not private IP. Make sure. And whenever I restart the server, one thing you need to understand here, if I restart the server, okay, when I restart the server or you see here, what is the public IP now I have?
90. 14.
43.205, right? 43.205.96 something. So if I restart this server, this public IP is not static,
Yes.
Private IP will be static. Whatever the private IP that is assigned here, okay? So this private IP will be static. Even if you restart the server, okay, if you restart the server and if you shut down and if you start it, this private IP will be there. But the public IP will be changes. Now you see, you can understand 43.205. This is the IP address now. I'm able to access my application with this IP address. Even if I share this IP address with you, you can also able to access. Yesterday also I've given you. You can share this I am sharing this public IP with you. You can also access from your machines. And if what I'm doing is I'm going to just stop this server and start it. Okay, you know how to stop the server and start it, right? This is a web server. You can try before I stop this server. You might be able to access it. Okay. And I'm going to stop this server for now. And I'm going to start it once again. Why I'm stopping the server and starting it? To show you the public IP will not be there
Same.
for starting. The public IP will not be same. You say whenever I restart the server, I'm selecting the server. This is still stopping. Once it is stopped, again I can start it. So you can refresh to see the status. It is still getting stopped. You can see the status here. Based on the status, you can work. Okay. It's still stopping. If it comes to you can refresh it and you can see the status. If it gets stopped, then only you can go select the server and you can go for start the instance. Okay. This option is highlighted. That means the instance is stopped and I'm going to start the server once again. Let me see if the public IP is changed or something else. Usually,
Yes.
now it is not. Now it is not changed. Is it changed? You need to identify. Is it changed or not? 146. Now it is 146.91.
96.
Earlier it was. You see 43.205.96.114.
114.
But now it is 146.91.
191.
It got changed.
Hmm.
It got changed. Then what is the solution?
Elastic
Usually clients ask, what clients ask is like, if the client requirement is like, okay, so usually some clients will not worry about changing the public IP and all. But for some clients, okay, if any server is working as a web server, They don't want to change the start. They don't want to change this public IP whenever they start the server or they restart it. Okay. So that time, what is the solution? We need to give a solution for this also. We have a concept of static IPs. You see here, I'm going back to the VPC here on the left side. We know about VPCs, we know about subnet, we know about route table, we know about internet gateway, and we also understood something. Okay, we didn't see the practicals, but you have some knowledge on NAT gateway. What is the purpose of NAT gateway? I told you
To access the private subnets.
to provide the internet connection. And
Internet
NAT
connection
gateway
to
is
the
mainly for providing internet connectivity to the
private subnet.
private subnet. And now I'm going to introduce one more thing, one more component called elastic
IPs.
IPs. You know what is this elastic IP? The concept behind the elastic IP. Okay, why this elastic IPs came into the picture? You see, whenever I restart the server, the IP address are getting the public IP is getting changed. If I restart the server, if I stop the server and start it also, the public IP address are getting changed. I don't want this public IP to change every time. Every time I restart the server, I don't want this public IP to get changed. So for that, what happens? What I will use is I will use elastic IP. I will be allocating some elastic IP. I'm going to create one elastic IP, and I will be allocating this elastic IP to what? I'll be allocating this elastic IP address to this
Public
one.
IP. This it
Okay,
is the public IP.
you got it right. I'm going to allocate the elastic IP to this particular server. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'll show you okay, we can discuss all these things later, but before that, our main agenda is to see, okay, so I just, let me access it. If I'm trying to access with the help of the same previous public IP, I won't be able to access it because that IP is changed now. Sometimes you also might face this issue. You might install some web application. You might install some web application in the server, and you might be trying to access the web application with the same IP address, but you can't able to access. Server is up and running. Server will be up and running, but you can't able to access it. Okay, the reason might be what? The reason is what? If you restart the server, the public IP will be automatically gets. Restart the public IP will be automatically gets changes. So that time you need to go to the server again, copy the public IP of that server, okay, and paste it. The browser, this IP is different. Now we can able to access. Can we able to access now? I am able to see the private IP address. Host name is nothing but what? I'm printing the host name. This is the host name. AP South 1. This is the IP address. This is the private IP address, and my server is at IP South 1. This is the host name usually. I'm asking to print the host name. That's why it is printed the host name. Private IP is common. Did you observe that? Private IP is common? Yes. Private IP won't change. If you restart the server also, private IP won't change. And the only public IP, the reason is only the dynamic one is public IP. Okay. So the solution for dynamic IPC is what? The solution for the dynamic IP, the solution for the IP gets, the public IP gets changes, right? Whenever we restart the server, the public IP will get changes usually.
Yes.
Solution is what? So
We need to allocate elastic IP address.
elastic IP. Okay, we'll create an elastic IP and we will assign the elastic IP to the
Public.
So after creating elastic IP address, whatever we are creating, that is reserved, right?
yes. That won't change. That won't get changed. Always it will be the static. So that elastic IP is also called as static IP. That elastic IP is also called as static IP. What is the meaning of static? Static means permanent, fixed.
Yes.
Static is fixed, not permanent. Static is fixed. Dynamic means usually change. Static meaning is fixed. So the elastic IP is also called as static IP. So once we assign the static IP, that IP will be there even though you restart the server or stop it or start it again. Whatever you do, okay, until you delete the server, that static IP will be there. That is fixed. Okay, that is the solution that we will be giving. Okay. So now, yesterday also I have shown you. So now I am able to access this server. How to remove the internet connectivity to this particular subnet? Suppose if you don't want the internet connectivity, okay, if you want to disturb this subnet, if you want to remove the internet connectivity, how to remove the internet connectivity? What I can suggest you, simply go to the route tables. Okay, select the route table, go to the actions. You can, if you want to remove the internet connectivity to the subnet, remove the subnet, save the associations. Now this route table is not attached to the subnet. Okay, we have removed the connection. We have removed the association. Now you can try. You can try now. I am now trying with the same IP address. Maybe you won't see the proper response in the same window. Go to say another window and just try to access it. You will see that just now we lost the internet connectivity because we have removed the association. Earlier I were able to access it, but now I could not able to access it because I have removed the connection. I have removed the internet connection. This is an example to understand, okay, where we are losing, where we have lost the internet connectivity. Where we lost the internet connectivity also. Okay. So one example I would like to show you. You see here, I'm just trying to connect to this server. I'm selecting this server. Refresh it. Selecting the server and I'm trying to connect to this through the browser. I think I have the key pair in my local machine. Let me try to connect to this. And key pair is not at all required when you connect to the browser. I think, okay. Key pair is not at all required when you connect to the browser. Usually, if you are creating your, try to understand, if you are creating your servers, did you observe one thing? Did you observe one thing here? Earlier, I used to create to the server, create the servers by using internet connectivity, by using the browser. I used to select the server. I used to click on connect option so that I have an option called EC2 instance connect here. Okay. You see here what it is showing. When I'm selecting EC2 instance connect, can you see? When I'm selecting EC2 instance connect, what it is saying?
Public subnet.
Your instance is not in
Public subnet.
So suppose if you create a server and if you want to connect to the EC2 instance connect, it is nothing but connecting through the browser. EC2 instance connect is nothing but connecting through the browser. Your instance is not in the public subnet now. Are you understanding? Our instance is not in the public subnet now. Our instance is there in the, what do you mean by public subnet?
Internet connectivity is not enabled to that
Yes.
particular subnet. So it
So
is
we
private only.
have not provided the internet connectivity. We have not provided the internet connectivity. You can go back now again, okay? You can go back now. You can select this, my route table, go to the actions, edit subnet associations, add this one, save this association. Now I made this as, okay, I made this
Private, public subnet.
I made this as public, okay? I made this as public. I'm selecting the server. I'm going back. And now you can see the difference. I'm able to, usually it shows, okay, earlier what it was showing, you are not there, you are not connected to the public. Okay, there is no internet connectivity. I could not able to connect to the server. Why? Because when I'm connecting through the browser, you need to think that internet connectivity is required. Without internet connectivity, I could not able to connect. If I remove the internet connectivity, I could not able to connect to the server. And I just wanted to explain you because why internet connectivity is provided to the whole sub. Why the internet connectivity is provided to the subnet? Because if you want to make the subnet as public, and if you want the servers inside the public subnet, the servers inside the public subnet need to be accessed by the outside people. Definitely, we need to provide internet connectivity. Even you see, I'm just trying to, okay, usually we can connect from the local to that machine, okay? We can connect to the machine from the local, but we cannot install the packages. If I'm now trying to install some package like sudo yum install, okay? I would like to install some package like sudo yum install git. I'm just trying to install some git. Okay, it is asking, yes, you can, I'm able to install all the packages because internet connectivity is there. If the internet connectivity is lost, we cannot install all the packages even though we connect to the server from our local machine by using the key pair. By using the key pair, we can connect to the servers. I've shown you, right, how to connect to the server by using a key pair. By using the terminals like git bash. You remember? We can also connect to the servers by using git bash. We need to install git bash in our machine, and we need to use this command. What is the command we use to connect to the server by using git bash? Click on connect.
Configure
If you go
something.
for SSH
Hmm.
client, you need to go for SSH client, copy this SSH command, copy this SSH command, and make sure that AWS KP is there in your AWS KP. Maybe I don't know that KP is here or not, but I'll try to open the Git bash. I'll try to open the Git bash. I'm going for this one downloads. Okay. Do you know where I'm opening? I'm making sure that I'm assuming that my keeper is available here in my downloads. That's the reason why I'm just opening here. I have copied the SSH one. I'm copying the SSH command. Okay. I'm pasting it here inside the. Are you sure you want to connect it? Is asking. Yes, I got connected. I got connected to the server. Okay. I got connected to the server, but let me show you. I'm just removing the internet connection now. How to remove the internet connection? We know, right? Go to the route table, go to the actions, edit subnet associations, remove the internet connectivity. Now, what I'm trying to do is, I'm just trying to run this. Let me connect once again. Into the instances. I am opening the Git bash in the downloads folder. Okay. Make sure that you also open the Git bash in the place where you have the key pair. Okay. The key pair is important because without key pair, we cannot able to connect. Without key pair, you cannot able to connect. Can you see now? What it is saying that I am not able to connect to this particular server. I am not able to connect to this particular server. See, I am the outside user. Assume that I am the outside user. I am trying to connect to that particular server from my local machine. I am trying to connect to that particular server from my local machine. And you know what is it? What it is? This what is the error it will show? Just now, even I have shown you. You can see here when I'm going to the instances, and if you select this particular instance, and you click on the connect button, earlier you also see this option, right? If this is not connected to the public subnet, something it has shown. Instance is not in the public subnet. We have created a VPC and we are trying to create our servers inside the VPC. Okay, we are trying to create our servers inside the VPC. So managing the access, providing the access to the user, that is also very much important. So we need to understand all those things. Okay, hope you understood now. So by disconnecting the internet connectivity, by removing the internet connectivity, we could not able to connect to the servers. Okay, all these things you might understand. So now what I'm trying to show you is here you can see what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more server in the DB subnet. Okay, I'm going to create one more server inside the DB subnet. If you connect one more server inside the DB subnet, now we created a server in public subnet. Okay, and public IP is assigned to this particular one. If you open it, you can see the public IP is getting assigned whenever we create a server in the public subnet. Public IP is being assigned when you create a server in the public subnet. And when I launch an instance in the private subnet, hope you understood how you are launching the servers. Okay, I'm naming the server as DB server. I'm naming the server as DB server. Same Amazon Linux I'm choosing. Instance type T2 dot micro I'm choosing. Key pair I'm choosing. Network setting. This is very much important. I'm launching the servers to make you understand the network settings only. Edit the network settings, select the VPC. And if you want to create your server in the DB subnet, yes, select the DB subnet. And you see whenever you are selecting, it is showing that auto assign public IP is disabled. And you can use the existing security group. The existing security group is MySG1. I'm going here in the advanced details. This is a DB server. I don't want to make this as a web server. This is the DB server. I'm just launching this particular server. That's it. And once after launching the server, you can see, you won't see the private IP of this server. You won't see the public IP of this server. Just access this server. You can see the private IP, but there will be no public IP. You cannot see the public IP for this server. Okay. So now to access this particular server, okay, if I want to access this particular server, what I told you, we need to see, usually, even though we create servers in the private subnet, usually we need to provide access to at least the team members who will be working on this particular server, like the data admins. They want to connect to the server and they want to go for some updates. Definitely, we have to provide access to this DB server for the internal people who are working on it. How to provide access to this DB server? If there is no IP, if there is no public IP, they cannot connect to the internet. If there is no public IP, they cannot connect to the internet. Without connecting to the internet, how can they update the packages? How can they go for updating all those things? It's very difficult. So we need to provide a solution. Even they cannot connect to the server. What is the solution for that? We will see. We'll try to understand in the next session. Okay, we'll understand that in the next session. We are going to create one jump host. What we are going to do, we are going to the public subnet. Okay, we are going to create one server and I'm going to name that server as jump host, or otherwise, usually the terminology that we use here in the AWS is bastion host. You know what is the meaning of bastion host? So try to remember all these new terminologies that you are listening, new words that you are listening. Bastion host, NAT gateway, internet gateway, route table. Maybe all these things, okay? Few of you might be listening these words new time for the first time, but keep on, okay? If you keep on listening, if you keep on practicing, these things will be very much easy, okay? Any questions? We will see like how to create a jump host. How can we access that DB server from the jump host, and how to provide internet connectivity to the private subnet. So private subnet in the sense, like, it doesn't mean that we won't provide internet connectivity to the private subnet. We don't want the public to be access those servers, okay? Private subnet means what? We are creating private subnet and we are launching some servers in the private subnet, meaning we don't want to give the public access. Okay? Only internal people, internal members, internal team members can able to access it and they can go for some updates. Only those things we will do. So to providing access to them, we need a jump host. We will create the jump host and try to understand where we are going to create the jump host. In which subnet we will be creating the jump host?
Public.
In which subnet we will be creating the jump host?
Public.
We are going to create the jump host in which server? In which subnet? Sorry.
Public.
Okay, you need to understand. We are going to create this jump host in the public subnet. And from the through the jump host, we will be accessing these servers. Okay, though you have 2 servers here in the DB subnet or 3 servers, how we are going to access these servers? Since these are private, since these servers are in private subnet, we cannot directly access them because the public IP is not enabled for them. So we need a jump host. We are creating the jump host in the public subnet and we will be accessing those servers. We will be accessing those servers from the jump host. All these things we will be understanding in the Monday session. Please practice. Meanwhile, practice is very much important. I strongly recommend to go ahead and practice all these things. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, you have a time. Okay, please find some time tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Please practice all these things. And please come back if you have any questions. Thank you all. If you don't have any questions or otherwise, we can discuss for some time. Any questions? Okay, then thank you. If you don't have questions, okay, we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.